Okay. Ring, the camera company, the door camera company, recently offered $1 million for anyone who captures an alien on their actual Ring camera. Do you think this is just a marketing ploy, or do you think there's something to this?
Well, I actually have a picture on my cell phone of two actual ETs that were present at a CE5 contact event. If you're at Close Encounters of the Fifth Kind, you can see the film on Amazon Prime or Tubi. And so it's not on a Ring camera, it's on my iPhone. So if you could have them contact me, they can send us $1 million tomorrow.
Okay, do you have these pictures right now?
Yeah.
Can you show them on the camera?
Oh, I'd have to fish them out, but yeah, they're pretty amazing, actually. So this is one. And, you know, he, very triangular shaped head, almost like a beak-like face. It was at an event we did out in the Arizona desert a couple years ago. There were about 30 witnesses to this. This photograph was taken with a really good Nikon camera by David Marconi, who wrote the screenplay for Enemy of the State. And it was during a reconnaissance and contact event we were doing there in the desert up above Tucson, up at about 4,000 or 5,000 feet. And it was a very unusual series of events happened. We have another one. I don't know if I have that one on my phone. That happened at Joshua Tree National Park about, I don't know, 15 years ago. And quite spectacular, everyone saw. And as a person took a picture of it. Now, this was under low light conditions, but it's very clear what it is. And it's an extraterrestrial being that's sort of levitating, floating out in the desert just outside our circle. So, yeah, we have a lot of unusual material. And one of the things that we moved forward with in 1990 was concluded, number one, we're not alone in the universe. And number two, who's making contact with them, right? Not the State Department or UN. So we started a project called the CE5 Contact Program. And there's an app called CE5 Contact that takes you through all the protocols to be able to do this. And we have had so many thousands of people have sightings and contact events from using that protocol. Now, I don't know if anyone has a Ring camera that they've captured it on, but that's an interesting wrinkle. But that's and the reason that it works is because one of the big problems that you get into when you talk to conventional scientists about this, they're all still locked in a paradigm of things that are the speed of light or slower. If you're interstellar civilization, your central technologies have to go beyond the speed of light, right? Which means you're not going from point A to B at the speed of light. Let's say you're from a very nearby star system, 1,000 light years away. At the speed of light, it'd take 1,000 years to get there and 1,000 years to get home. That's the time since the birth of Christ. Not practical. Communications are the same problem. What you and I are using is at the speed of light. But if you're communicating back to, say, the Andromeda galaxy, 2.5 million light years away, it would take 2.5 million light years for you to say hello, and another 2.5 million light years for someone to say, how are you doing today? So that's 5 million years on a round trip. Just hello, how are you? So we know that the technologies they have are what are known as trans-dimensional technologies. And this is where you get into, at the CIA, it's called WSFM. It stands for Weird Science and Frickin' Magic. At my uncle's old company, Northrop Grumman, it was just called PFM, Pure Fucking Magic, excuse my language, but that's what they called it. But it's these sort of very high voltage electromagnetic systems that allow for communication basically at the speed of conscious thought. Similar to what Neuralink's trying to do with Elon Musk, but without the wires. In other words, where there's a consciousness and thought interface with machine. And therefore, the communication systems are at the speed of a quanta or directed thought. So it's high tech. It sounds way out there, and it is. But you would expect, if it's extraterrestrial, it'd have to be way out there. It's not going to be early 21st century schlock like we're using. I mean, this is garbage, right? So, I mean, all this tech stuff we think is so vaunted. I can assure you, is not even a step out of the jungle, one step out of the jungle, technologically compared to these civilizations. So I think that having studied that, we concluded that you had to sort of create a series, sort of a scientific paradigm of how do you communicate with and what kind of phenomenon are you going to expect in contact, not with one of the fake man-made UAPs and aliens, but a real one. And the real ones are extraordinarily advanced in their technology, but also in their state of consciousness. Because my theory is that once a civilization reaches a certain point, what's called a level 1 civilization, where we're peaceful, we have these 0-point free energy systems, poverty is gone off the planet, people turn very quickly to the development of consciousness and intellect, and from a spiritual point of view, higher states of consciousness. I distinguish spiritual from organized religion, which are often diametrically opposite. But sorry to say to those of you who are religious, but that is something that I think happens naturally. So civilizations that are capable of reaching Earth from other star systems, if they haven't blown themselves up with extraordinary technologies like we have, and way beyond what we have, they've reached a certain level of social and spiritual development. And so we have to calculate that into our paradigm and go forward accordingly. So that's why this is shocking to people. The originating event for the whole disclosure movement that's going on today was a CE5 contact event on the beach near Pensacola, Florida in March of 1992. And I was leading a team for a weekend, 60 people. There were 2 full bird colonels and Air Force people there. And 4 of these ET craft just popped into the sky. They didn't fly in, just material like boom, boom, boom. And we had a very bad quality high 8 camera back then in 92. It's before any of y'all were alive, but 31 years ago, you can imagine. And we didn't have any good equipment, but we got it on camera. And someone took a photograph and ended up on the front page of the Pensacola paper. And that caused the intelligence community to contact me, Army intelligence, CIA, and NSA, because they went, what the hell are you doing? Because they knew we had cracked the Rosetta Stone of contact with these civilizations, which we have. So that ended up being an entree into that whole black world. Now, early on, about 2 months later, the head of Army intelligence, General Albert Stubblebine III, offered me $2 billion to become part of his team and not do what I'm doing now. But I wasn't interested in the money, and I was on a path to try to get this information out and have a peaceful paradigm of contact with these civilizations. So to me, that's really where we need to be going very quickly, because right now, let me tell you what's going on. The only people in any official capacity dealing with this issue are people doing so illegally under cover of national security, using extremely advanced and illegal electromagnetic pulse weapons to target ET craft and knock them down. That has to stop by all means necessary. Very dangerous thing to be going on. And can I prove that's going on? Absolutely. I got the footage and the photographs of having just hovered over the black sites where this is happening, and have the image of the underground access points that these man-made UAPs come out of. I just came off that mission. So I'm going to be handing that over to members of Congress pretty soon. But what I'm saying is we need to move off of this militaristic approach to this and develop a more diplomatic and peaceful approach, or we're going to be in a world of hurt.